Hi, this is the Art of Sheltering at Home, sponsored by the Northwest Parkinson's Foundation. And you can do art even if you have Parkinson's. I like to think it's something we can get better at. Parkinson's doesn't get you don't get better with Parkinson's, but you can get better at art. So let's work on our project today. It's working in acrylics, and we're going to work on a still life. Very simple still life because we want to look at shape and shadow. We're just going to do a monochromatic. And just look at the light and the shadows. So then we'll come back to that and focus on color. So I've set up a little simple one here. Got a banana, a journal, and an apple. I just saw what I had in the house, and I like the banana because it's a nice long shape. Apple's nice round shape, and then I got some hard corners with the journal. Now my light in here isn't very good for seeing shape and shadow. But I have a flashlight over here, and I'm going to turn that on and look at what the difference is between this and if I turn a flashlight on it. And notice how the light changes. I'm seeing highlights in here, highlights on the apple, and it makes the shadows really long. If I wanted to put that up higher, I'd have more light. And hold it back more. Oops. And so it changes the light. See how that changed? Oops. So I'm just going to keep it sort of like that. So you can play with that with your setup. See how that totally highlighted the apple here. So I'm going to work with this shape. Now it's going to seem, I'm going to see different things than you see because you're seeing it from a different angle. So look at the different angles you want to see it at too. Like I don't think I want to do the pages of this book. I might want to do the binding. I might turn this or I might put the banana in front of it. So I'm just going to play with this. I kind of like the banana covering a little bit, but not completely. So set things up the way you might want to paint them. I'll put this here. There's the bananas going. The apple's going here. And I have just a little bit of the journal. So what I'm seeing is there's a great highlight on the book there. So I might change my banana over here. There we go. The banana's going over the book like that, and the apple will go in front. Well, you'd be able to see that too. So arrange however the light and shadows. Oh, that's good. Okay, I'm liking that. Okay. What I'm seeing is a bright light here. The book isn't getting much, so I'm going to move that. There we go. Oh, that's good. Okay, so now there's more on the. I'm seeing this better now. The apple's I want the apple on its side, I think. There we go. So now I'm going to just start with the shape of that. And first I'm going to make some very monochromatic color. You can go with a sort of a gray, a green. I'm going to go with sort of a brownie. So I mix some red and blue. I need some more white. Maybe some off-white. So I'm going to mix that in. Now what I'm going to start with is just sort of outline of I'm going to start with that light color. I'm just going to do a quick outline of what I see. So I see, I'm going to change what I see. There we go. So I see, I'm going to do I'm basically seeing this round When I see it from seated versus standing, that's a different, it's also different. I'm going to look at it, I like to look at it as seated because I've got a different vantage point. So I've got a bright here. I'm just going to the outline now. So I'm just going to go around, down the book around the apple. Just going to do the outline of what I see. I'm not doing a banana, a book, an apple. I'm just doing an outline of what I see and how they are in relation to each other. So I see a curve, and then I see a straight line. The curve ends and the straight line starts. And I see a corner, and I see a round line. And I'm just, sort of sketching this in with a light color, and it's a round line, and that round comes around to straight line again. And then I see another corner and another curve. So this is what I have for my outline. Now I'm going to take my color. I'm just doing monochromatic, so I did a sort of a bronzy brown as my, I'll show you, this is the, I'll put my little palette on the side here. So I've got a nice dark, that's my dark. And I need to go for medium, or when I need that, I'll mix some of this light color with it. There's my medium. So, oh, there you go. There's my dark and my medium. And then the light might just be this off-white plain. So I'm basically sticking with like a brown family here. Let's see if you can see that. I've got just sort of 3 shades of brown. That's my palette. So now I'm just going to find what the brightest light is, and for me it's just that stripe around the banana, so I'm going to do that. I'm actually going to start with my darks. And the shadow and the underside of this curve, also known as a banana, are my darkest. So I'm going to start there, and I'm going to start with this underside of the curve. And then the next thing I see that's darkest is the shadow of this round part, also known as the apple. And I'm just going to sketch that in. And then a little bit of the shadow from the journal is lighter. The shadow from the banana is pretty dark. I'm going to put that down there too. Since the shadow of the banana is darker than that stripe, I'm going to lighten up that stripe with a little of the off-white color. That's what I have so far. I have no idea if it's going to look like anything when I'm done, but I'm just painting highlights and shadows. So I'm seeing a shadow on this book, and it's but I'm just going to see it. Okay, there we go. It's pretty dark. I'm just doing the shape of the shadow I see on the journal here. I might pull this camera on so you can see what I see. But you should be just eyeing your own still life, whatever you have in the house, you want to sort of sit down and shine a flashlight on it, or if you have decent lighting, you can just see the shadows as they are. And And just take the darkest and paint that shape. And then go from the darkest to the mediums. So it's very dark there. I'm going to, wait, I need a little bit more, this is good. It's a very dark color. We've got the little end of the banana here. That's right, we'll just put a little dark there. Maybe I'll put a little light before it instead of, and the contrast will make it look dark. I'm going to go for my mediums. My mediums are, to me, are part of this apple shape. It has a dark part too, but I want to do the medium. Just sort of the top that comes around here. I'm just putting in my apple shape. In a lighter color, or a lighter shade. Now, when we were talking about the heaviness of the paint, this is just a study in highlights and shadows, but there's still, you still use the, you know, how much paint do you want on the brush. And I'm going to say the shadows tend to be a little bit lighter because they're shadows, and then what you want sort of in the foreground might be the heavier, less water. So we're still using that same thing we learned, or we talked about last time. how much water versus how much ink or paint. It's not ink. So I've roughly filled in my apple shape. I'm going to add highlights after. I have to get the medium part of my curvy banana here. So I'm going to do a little medium there. And it's right down here. And we're not working on masterpiece. We're just getting an idea of where the highlights, where the shadows are, and what shapes they are. Okay. I just messed it up. That's all right. I wasn't looking at my shape. I was thinking it was a banana. All right, I fixed it. Okay, and then I'm going to fill in the highlights, or the mid-tones on the journal. And it's mostly light, but we've got a couple mid-tones. We've got to me, the pages here are darker than because they're in the shadow. I'm going to stick those in there. And this is a little bit lighter here, where the banana is not shaded on there. Fill that in. So again, we're just filling in the shapes that we see. It's later. Sometimes for me, the hardest thing to see is the mediums. You know, what's light, what's medium. And sometimes it helps me to look at where's the contrast. And that, you know, that tells me that there's something dark against something light, and there might be something medium nearby. So now I'm going to do some lights, and we need more space. Okay, I'm going to put some of that out. And here, for the lights, you can actually use a little bit of white. That emphasizes your color. So now I'm going to look at what's light, where the light is, and I can see it on a banana easily. Goes around this outside. Going all the way down here. And then I'm going to, again, it's, if my medium wasn't in the right spot, I can fix that. So I can change that medium if it suddenly looks like it's a dark. It's where the contrast is. My banana just wasn't looking like what I'm looking at, so. If you can't quite figure out where something looks out of proportion, it's helpful to look at where it is, in where that section is in relation to the other sections near. So if my journal is looking too long, I can look at where the apple goes halfway, the banana comes halfway this way, and I can look at the ratios. So it's always good to stop and have a look around. Just want to do this quick so you can see the how it can come together. Oops. So I don't want to do that. Take this one. Sometimes to get edges, you might want to put some background in there. Your cloth that it's on or the table that it's on. And that's background, so that might be something that you wipe off. And take a paper towel and wipe that off because I just did some background. And I'll show you. Just gonna wipe it off and then I'll hold it up. So now, oops, I spilled some water there, but we'll wipe that up before it drools down. There we go. So what I have just in the corner here is the curve that I started with, starting to look like a banana. But I'm really looking at the highlights and the shadows. Not at the banana. It's hard to do. Especially since I haven't eaten yet. And the banana's looking pretty good. I'm going to finish those highlights on my on that journal. We've got a shadow on the journal. I didn't paint them yet. Let's do this. I'm gonna do a little bit of shadow here. Goes here. So what we're looking for here is just focusing on the highlights and the shadows. Again, my apple is not red, my book is not purple or blue like it is in, I've done this all with, we're doing this with sort of monotone or maybe duotone. So you can see shapes and shadows. See, it sort of says apple, sort of says banana, and that's because it's of the shadows and the highlights, not because of the color. So it's not the masterpiece by any means. It's an exercise in seeing the shadows. And I had sort of a more complicated still life that had too many things in it. But again, it was, you know, it was an apple and a napkin and a book and a teapot. And none of them were blue. So I was just looking at shape and shadow and highlight. So you work on your piece more if you want, or put up another still life. But we're going to keep that in mind when we go and add color. And the great thing about acrylics is they're so forgiving. You know, I can do the background and wipe it away with a paper towel. My shadow did not, of the banana, didn't go the same direction as the banana initially. So I could sort of erase it with a paper towel and start it again. So that's one of the things I really like about working with acrylics. It's easy to clean up too. If you played with lots of paint and you don't know how to clean it up, I even got it on my arm. It's just soap and water. And the brush is the same way. I just use dish soap. Some people swear by Murphy's oil soap, but I just use dish soap and it's fine. So it's very easy cleanup. And next time we'll work on with color.